This is City Paper Live, Pittsburgh City Paper's weekly talk show, where we bring you behind-the-scenes stories from our weekly and online coverage, featuring City Paper writers, friends, and guests. Welcome to the show.
Like that, you know? You remember when you did that? We are the world, or whatever that song was, you know? Yeah. We are the children, you know?
Are we on? Welcome to CP Live.
Heyo.
With senior arts and entertainment writer at the City Paper, Amanda Waltz.
You?
That's me.
Yeah.
Not you.
No.
No, you're Ryan.
Senior news writer and stuff.
Did you
Ryan
forget
Deto?
Who you are?
Yes, for a second. Who am I? I actually don't like this. I'm going to take this thing off.
Take those off. Yeah, they're too distracting.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up, Ryan?
You know, just living life. Yesterday was my birthday.
Happy
Heyo.
birthday!
Yeah, 33 years old.
33?
Yeah.
You're a baby.
I wish. 23, more like 21st birthday. Anyway,
well, speaking of 21st birthdays.
Yes, today's podcast, we're talking beer, people.
Talking beer.
Yes. Okay.
Bye, Josh.
Josh.
Producer
gonna
Josh
leave
is
for a
leaving
sec,
us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna need the fart app again.
No, we don't. We absolutely
that's
do
true.
not need
We
the
don't.
fart.
Okay. So anyway, for everyone listening,
Yes.
I wrote an article earlier this week where I proclaimed that Pittsburgh should have its own regional craft beer style. And,
Okay.
And I believe that it should be the brown ale.
Okay.
Yes. And
Hottest of takes.
right, it's white hot, brown hot.
Ooh.
It's like a brown dwarf, which is a really
No.
cold star actually.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like right before it becomes a black hole. So that's how dangerous
Hot
this
brown
take
black
is.
hole. I hate you.
And so I was inspired by this because there are some, craft beer is obviously like a huge thing in America at this point.
It is beer. Craft beer is beer.
Right, and it's getting more market share every year, which is awesome. I think so that we have variety in our beer, and it's great. And there are a lot of, and through this explosion of craft beer, which is kind of like started like in the late 80s, but has really taken off in the 2010s. We've seen some regions kind of be like, this is our style, right? And so you see New England has their hazy IPA, which is incredibly popular across the country, but it originated there. And the West Coast, for example, has the West Coast IPA, which I guess they call it, which just means like hoppy as hell, basically.
Okay.
And really like just a strong beer.
Our IPA just has bits of cigarette in it.
It's a little cigarette.
It's the ashy IPA.
But other parts of the country, I was actually talking to my girlfriend about this, and we've been to 49 U.S. states.
Well.
Yeah.
Not Alaska or Hawaii?
No.
Have you been?
Hawaii, yes.
You have been to
not Alaska.
Okay.
There are 50 states, if you knew that.
51 if you count Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's not a state though, so.
But still.
Hopefully. Someday. Also DC.
True.
But so anyway, there's all these different styles, and so I'm like, man, Pittsburgh needs something. Pittsburgh needs like something that we can say like, this is the Pittsburgh style. And this last weekend, I had a couple brown ales, which I'm a fan of, and I was like, damn, these brown ales are like especially good in our region. And I think a lot of times, people are like brown ale boring, which is fine. But I think that Pittsburgh does them like really surprisingly well. When you get a brown ale from like a local craft brewery, I think it's just like really good, like better than other places I had it. And because of that reason, because that not only are they, I think, just especially good here, but they're surprisingly good. And I think Pittsburgh, in that same way that I think Pittsburgh is surprisingly good, because I grew up on the West Coast, and even to this day, people are still like, Pittsburgh, wasn't it like smoky and shitty there? Like, I mean, even to this day.
I mean, it kind of is.
No, it's not. But I mean, it's better than that. It's a lot better than it's a lot better than its perceptions. And
right,
so
yeah.
that's what I think brown ales in this region are the same. And so I think we should adopt and say, you know what? This is the Pittsburgh brown ale, you know? And I think that's cool.
So what, because I think when people think of brown ale, like
Right.
we were talking earlier, you think
Right.
Newcastle.
Right.
So what are the brown ales that you experienced?
Right. So I think the ones in the region that I
Yeah.
really like are East End. Fat Gary is a really
yeah.
good brown ale.
Okay.
It's really drinkable. It's like a low alcohol percentage. So if you want, if you're looking for something really drinkable that you can basically drink like 3 or 4 of and it's not like a big deal.
Yeah.
That one's really good. Helltown, which brews out of Mount Pleasant in Westmoreland County, I think.
Oh, I didn't know they were in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they're also opening up a tap room in the Strip District
cool.
soon. And they have a mischievous brown ale, which is kind of like in between. It's like 5.5%, but it's a really solid beer, I think. Like if you're looking for like a craft beer.
Okay.
And then Voodoo, which has tap room in Homestead, brews out of Meadville, up in near Erie.
Yeah. It's like between. I think it's like kind of between here and Erie.
Right.
Yeah.
They have a really good brown ale called Winona's Big Brown
Ooh.
Ale, and it's really strong, but it's definitely I think it's their best beer. And yeah, those are my 3. But then there's other great brown ales too, but those are the ones that I probably drink the most of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is it about brown ale
Right.
that you like? What are the qualities that you find appealing?
I think brown ales are pretty drinkable.
Sit down, Josh.
You know, I think they're a lot more drinkable, even though they're a little bit darker and they're brown in color, obviously, than like people think they are. But they also still have that. They're a little roasty. Their malts are roasted a little bit, so you get a little bit of that, like I guess kind of like coffee flavor. But
Okay, I could see that.
But also not like really rich or anything like that.
So it's not like I think that's why I don't like very dark beers.
Right.
Because I just think they're way too heavy. It's like
Right.
drinking a beer milkshake.
Right.
So I stay away from porters. So you're
Right.
saying like this isn't quite a porter.
This is not a porter.
Yeah.
This is what I think a lot of people go, oh, brown ale, you mean like Guinness? I'm like, no.
No,
This is a stout.
absolutely
That's
not.
the
Yeah.
absolute darkest kind of beer. Like stouts are the darkest
Yeah.
kind of beer. They're very rich. They're very dark. They're really, people usually drink them in the winter because they're like, I don't know. But stouts are dark. Porters are kind of like,
Maybe like one rung.
on the scale of beers, like if you're talking about the heaviest, you have stouts, then you have like porters right next to it.
Yeah.
And then as you get closer to the middle, brown ales are kind of pretty actually close to the middle on like the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah.
And if you go on the other side, then you're talking about like pilsners.
Yeah.
And like other things that are pretty light. But so yeah, it's not a porter, it's not a stout. It's just like it's like a pub ale, I guess. Like they're I think they originated in England. And apparently after I wrote my article, some people like replied to me. Some brewers were like replying to my tweet, and they said, well, actually, like a lot of people did drink a lot of dark beers in like historically in Pittsburgh at like the at the ale houses or whatever. And so it maybe even have some local ties. But that's my take. Some people disagreed.
Me.
And, yeah.
Pittsburgh has a beer. It's called Icy Light.
Yeah, but I mean, Icy Light, that's true. But we're talking about styles, though. I'm talking about styles.
Okay.
Icy Light is a Pilsner, is a German-style Pilsner, which is like most American beers are German-style Pilsners.
Yes.
Miller Lite, Bud Light, Coors Light, and even the non-light versions of those beers are still the same exact beer. They're just the
Pretty
non-light
much,
version.
yeah.
They're just a little bit.
They're the full force.
They're a little
beer.
more flavor. They're a little more alcoholic.
Right.
So even like Iron City, for example, is it's still a Pilsner. It's still
No, it definitely is.
yeah. And so also Iron City Light, come on, it's not that good.
I only drink Iron City Light.
Yeah, I mean, I drink it too, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's definitely not something we should be like, yeah, everyone in America, like come to Pittsburgh to drink Iron City Light. No, it's great that we have it.
I buy Iron City Light when I'm going.
No one calls it Iron City Light.
All right, whatever. Sorry.
Look, we just want to make sure that everybody knows what we're talking about.
Right, Icy Light. Wait.
Josh is having
Oh,
trouble.
the farts are gone. It's all farted.
It's not farts. It's not farts. It's not farts.
Wait, do it.
Working on something back here. Relax. Proceed with the show. Proceed with the show.
But no, I think like Icy Light for me is I've tried a lot of the Pilsners around here
Right.
that are sort of the big, like Yingling.
Yeah.
I would say like
a
Straub
lager,
a Pilsner.
lager.
Oh, is that a lager?
Lager.
They're both
Yeah.
lagers, right? Straub
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Yingling. Okay.
Yeah, they're a little bit, but I mean, honestly, they're
I'll say,
all
like, the
kind of in
lighter
the same.
beers,
They're all
I
kind of in
should
the same
say.
family. I would say they're all like
Yeah.
in this. They're all really close together.
But all those brands, I've tried them. I was like, Not a big fan. It's
Yeah.
just they're even too heavy and too sweet for me.
Oh, okay.
I used to be what the fuck was that?
Was that you actually, or was that the phone?
Phone.
Okay.
Stop distracting
I'm
us.
not
We're
about
having
to
a
throw-
very
Okay, all right,
important
yeah, okay,
conversation.
yeah,
Important
sorry. Okay.
conversation.
So,
but no, I used to be a club kid, and so
Right.
like if I'm gonna go out dancing all night, I can't drink heavy beers in like glass.
Right.
So it was like for me, and this is a formula I still use to this day. Beginning of the night, I drink a shot, and then I just drink icy light for the rest of the night. I've never had a
What kind of
hangover
shot?
from
What
that.
kind of shot?
Vodka.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Vodka and icy light.
Yeah, I'm trash.
Just a
and I
steel
love
town
it.
girl on a Saturday night.
You bet your ass. What the fuck?
That is awful.
This is a
Please
burp
stop.
app, and it's
It
terrible.
just sounds like someone is dying.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like,
that just
oh,
sounds
no.
like
Or
someone just
die.
like kicked the bucket.
Someone died on the toilet.
That could
That
be
was a frog.
any.
That was
could,
a frog. That
That
was
could be
definitely a frog.
any number of gastral
Yeah.
issues. I don't care for
Yeah.
it.
Well, if everyone remembers last week, we were pretty obsessed with a fart app that
the fart app where you
yeah.
couldn't tell what kind of fart
Yeah,
it was because it was just
was
illustrated.
mystery farts, and now Josh is trying to do a burp app, but it
I
seems
just want
like
the
it's a
sexy
colossal
lady
failure.
noises. There it is.
Apparently, farts are easier to mimic than burps.
Yeah.
At least for these people behind
If you
this
want a real burp,
app.
we'll give you a real burp.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
We actually have some brown ale in
quit
the
this.
fridge.
It's really strong,
So-
though, so I'm afraid of it at 9 o'clock or 10
Yeah,
o'clock in the
did you say
morning.
12%?
Yeah, 12%.
But no, the reason that I am more that I tend to go towards the lighter beers
Right.
is for that reason.
Right.
It's just because like, and also like I don't want to go to sleep. I don't
Right.
know. Like when I go out, when I go to bars or go to clubs, like
Right.
I'm not there just to drink.
Right.
So I think that's why I don't usually go to the heavy beers. That being
Right.
said, I went out and had dinner last night and had a couple Trogs beers and they were
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah. See, but this, okay, so here's my thing, though, is that, so I think that, yes, that icy light is definitely synonymous with this region, but
Right.
icy light is replicated literally everywhere in America. There's nothing
Yes.
unique about a light Pilsner. Every region, well, you can easily get Budweiser, Miller,
Yeah.
or Coors, but even so, every region usually also has their own, like, locally produced
Oh,
light
for sure.
Pilsner.
Yeah.
Narragansett in New England, Natty
Can I tell you
Bow
a funny,
in
can I tell you a funny
Maryland.
thing about Narragansett?
Yeah, sure.
Apparently it turns your shit green.
What? No, I drink it all the time. It does not.
It
Well,
does-
maybe it does. I don't know. I haven't looked after I've shat.
Are you afraid of it? Are you like a dog? Do you just do it and then run away as fast as you can?
No, I guess I just haven't. I haven't been like, oh, I drank a bunch of Narragansett. Let me look at my shit. You know?
No, I've heard from multiple people that like it turns your shit green.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
skeptical because I'm drinking a lot of Narragansett.
It's gross.
And I lived in Boston. No, it's not. It's one of the best. It's
it's
one of the
gross.
best. It's one of
Here's
the best.
thing. I'm a Jaws fan.
Yeah.
As everyone can see.
Yeah, as am I.
I wanted
Get
Will
that
you
out of
stop
here,
it?
Josh. What are you doing?
I wanted to like Narragansett so much
Right.
because it's what Quint drinks in
Yeah,
Jaws.
because they are on like Martha's Vineyard area.
Yeah,
or
and he's
whatever,
like,
yeah.
he crushes
Yeah,
the can and all
yeah,
that stuff. And then
yeah.
I took, because I think Spirit started selling it.
Yeah, they still have it.
They still have
Yeah.
it. And I took one sip and was like, this is disgusting.
See, I just can't.
I thought it was gross.
I can't take your beer opinion seriously because that is one of the better like light. I mean, like
It's
like
not.
light beers.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
Can I? Okay, well, here's the thing. You're talking about these sort of like mass produced, like it's kind of like craft beer versus these like mass produced mainstream like
I'm talking
Pilsners.
about Pittsburgh should have a craft beer
Yeah.
like style because there's
Right.
already a mass produced style and it's always a light lager Pilsner.
For sure, yeah.
That's what
Because
is
everybody
so
can drink
widely
it.
available in America.
Yeah.
That was the only beer that America had for like I don't know, like 100 years before craft beer came along. That
Probably,
was
yeah.
like when you went to a bar, you basically had your choice of 3 different types of that beer.
You got
And-
Bud, you got
Right,
Miller.
right. Until they started importing European beer, which was a little bit different, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's weird because like I grew up in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and we actually, I think I was in like middle school, maybe early high school. Bullfrog Brewery was one of the first craft breweries that I ever
cool. Yeah.
experienced,
Okay.
and that was before the boom happened.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Sorry.
I don't think that was. Maybe it was.
Maybe. Great song.
And it's still there. I mean, this is
Okay.
this has been, I don't know, well over 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's still there. And it's, it's insane to think back and that it was like the small town. They built this brewery.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of different kinds of beers.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like now a lot of breweries are trying to specialize in one type of beer.
Okay.
So I think, and brown ale though is not something that anyone has
no
really tried to
brown ale
specialize
brewery.
in. Yeah, because like people are like, sours are cool now. We're gonna do sours.
Right.
Like it was IPAs forever.
Hazy IPAs are like
Yeah.
the thing that like there are breweries. There's a brewery in Pittsburgh that basically only does hazy IPAs.
Is that Dancing Gnome?
Dancing Gnome.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think a lot of other places are like, no, we're only gonna do this kind of beer. But brown ale is definitely not one.
Not yet.
That they have pursued.
Not yet.
Although some places do, because not everybody likes it.
Right, but that's true of all beer.
Yeah.
That's true of every beer style. There's always going to be some people that don't like a certain beer style.
But I feel like brown ale is still maybe a little too.
And this is why it's the Pittsburgh beer, in my opinion. Because a lot of people don't like Pittsburgh. Sorry, Yins. Just saying, most people who aren't from here do not think about this place as a cool, good area, even though I think it is. And, and especially growing up not here. Yeah. I had those same perceptions when I was growing up. That's like, oh, Pittsburgh. One, I didn't like the Steelers growing up because I'm a 49er fan. And, there's just like this weird rivalry between these two teams, even though they rarely play each other.
I wouldn't know.
But there's just like, if you get out of the Pittsburgh bubble, if you get out of the Pennsylvania bubble and you go talk to anyone in like, I don't know, like, Texas or something.
Yeah.
People are gonna be like, Pittsburgh, why would you go there? That's like that's the main perception still. Even with all the listicles and everything. Nice.
Okay, that one was appropriate.
Yeah. Even with all the listicles and all the like travel articles about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
There's still
Oh yeah.
Those have not reached critical mass where everybody in the region is now like, oh, Pittsburgh's cool now.
Well,
like,
I remember my sister years ago. I mean, I moved here in 2002, I think. And my sister had to come down here for a job, and she used to film like depositions and stuff. And she said, she's like, Pittsburgh was so clean.
Right.
I was so surprised.
Right.
Pittsburgh was so clean. And I'm like, why do you think I live here?
Right.
Do you think I live in like a landfill hellscape? Like, what do you...
like an ash pit where everything is just like covered in soot.
It's just like one big tire fire. Is that like, why do you think I chose to live
tire
here?
fire brown ale.
Ooh. Patent pending. But no, I agree. I think it is, maybe that could help give Pittsburgh more of an identity beyond, like, here's a thing that you need to try when you're here.
Right. See, I guess I'm just like trying to market it more because I think even though it has done a pretty good job at marketing itself, it still needs a lot more, honestly.
I mean, what else do we have?
But I want it to be authentic. I don't want, like, a lot of people, or a few people were saying after I wrote my beer article that it's like, oh no, we do hazy IPAs really well, and it's like, I think that is true. I think we do hazy IPAs well, but so does but I mean, right now, so does everyone. That is like the most popular
IPAs
craft
to
beer
me
style.
are like basically the new Pilsners.
Right.
Basically, and that's why I think a lot of times when we talk about, like, we say craft beer, it's like craft beer is just beer now.
Right.
It is beer.
Right.
Like,
it's pretty much available anywhere you go.
Anywhere. Like when I was in high school, Dogfish Head was like, oh my God, look at this craft beer.
Right.
Now Dogfish Head is just like, who fucking cares?
Right.
I'm like, I mean, not to say that they don't make
it's
good
still
beer,
really good, but I mean, like, you're right. It's like ubiquitous at this point.
It's just, and on that note, I saw this last night. I was surfing the web. Not really. This popped up on my
World
Google
Wide
alerts. So Pabst is launching a craft beer brand.
Right, of course.
Captain Pabst.
No. Shut up. Fuck. Captain Pabst?
Captain Pabst.
Cap Pap.
Which I think that's why it's so meaningless now, because it's like you have Pabst, which is just the most like, whatever beer.
Yeah.
And let's see what makes this stand out. It is
those are almost always
it's an
bad.
IPA.
Yeah, but I mean, those are almost always
The
bad.
Seabird IPA.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Seabird. What does that even mean?
Seabird.
Aren't they from like Milwaukee?
It pays homage to company namesake Frederick Pabst, who was a ship captain on Lake Michigan.
Oh, there you go. I guess I do have Seabirds there.
Let's see. It's brewed with Magnum, Citra, Cascade, and Mosaic hops. So yeah.
Whatever.
So yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's like Pabst is launching an
Right.
IPA. I think that says it all. It's like Pabst is like, well, I mean, this is the new Pilsner. We might as well get in on
So
this.
what I'm saying is that if Pittsburgh wants to like make more of a name for itself, it can't just say, oh, we do New England IPAs really well, so that's like our regional style.
Right.
No, because New England's in the fucking name. It's a New England IPA.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You can't be like, no, it's a New England Pittsburgh IPA. It doesn't make
Also,
any
fuck
sense.
the Pets.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't follow football.
Yeah, and so I guess like that's just me as a marketing point of view that it's like,
Right.
oh, and you know, in the same way that like I think I wrote this in my article that like Pittsburgh's like really walkable and no one knows that outside of people who actually live here.
Oh well,
And-
yeah. I think like
right.
every neighborhood, especially, has a very walkable
Right,
business
it
district.
does, and so
Yeah.
we have these little surprising things that people would be like, "Oh man, look at that!" Every time people who aren't from here come here, they're like, "Oh, this is like way more beautiful than I thought.
Yeah.
It's got a ton of tree cover, way more trees than anyone thought. Everyone thinks again it's just like some like
It's a-
like mill fucking hellscape apparently,
Yeah.
like steel mill hellscape, and it's like really walkable and it has all these things and."
I mean, it has its issues.
Right,
clearly.
of course. We still
Clearly.
have air quality problems. We
Yeah.
still have, but again, every region has their own problems.
Right.
You know, DC might not have bad air quality, but it's got terrible traffic and terrible cost of living expenses.
Yeah.
So, that's drink some brown ale. It's really good.
So you come here, get your Permane sandwich, get your brown ale.
You know what? I've another food take I have many. Is you know what should be more well known than a Permane sandwich as the thing?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh salad.
Yeah.
French fries on
I
a
think people know
salad.
the Pittsburgh salad.
No. But I'm saying that should be. We should stop with the sandwich because, guys, it's okay. You know.
I can eat
And then-
I could eat one a year when I ate meat.
Yeah, AKA not that good. And
Well, no, because it was just like you eat one sandwich and you're like, well, I gotta go take a nap for the rest of the
right,
day.
but I had like a Pittsburgh style salad at Pepe's the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing! Like French
Oh, yeah.
fries and the cheese and the meat on like a salad.
Oh, when I ate meat, I would get a Pittsburgh style steak salad.
Yes,
At
that's what I got at Pepe's.
What's it called? It's in Bloomfield. It's in Squirrel Hill. What's that restaurant?
Silkies.
Silkies.
Yeah.
I used to get like a steak salad there with French fries.
Yeah,
It was great.
it's great.
It was wonderful.
It's
it was a
really
perfect
good.
meal.
It's a perfect meal.
Yeah. You get your French fries.
You got French
You
fries.
got your veggies.
Got your veggies. Got your meat, cheese,
Cheese.
dressing.
I
Got it
would
all.
get peppercorn ranch.
Ooh, nice.
Very
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
You
think
don't
it is,
need the bread.
No.
You know, Hey,
But you want it. But you want that bread.
But it kind of ruins all of it. You know,
I don't think so.
I think so.
Are you talking about croutons or just bread?
Oh no, croutons. You need croutons on the salad.
I don't like croutons. I don't like croutons. I don't like
win.
brown ale.
No, can't win.
Well, the other thing too, I wanted to ask. So one
Okay.
of the things that
Yeah.
has been happening, and I think Maggie covered this, our food and drink writer Maggie, was sort of like trying to integrate these like famous Pittsburgh, like the burnt almond tort,
Right.
into beers.
Oh no.
I don't. Joshua.
Hey, producer Josh is just exploring the best sounds. He's just doing his job.
Why are
doing
you?
his job.
Why don't you respect us? Why don't you respect us enough?
Just enhancing the sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's what it
wait,
is.
you're saying.
But no, so I was saying I almost feel like that's the route people are trying to take, where it's like, okay, let's.
That's a mistake, though. I think
It's yeah.
because that Burt Almond Tort beer is awful. It's the most disgusting beer I've ever had.
It's bad.
I can't.
It's not good.
I couldn't even finish it. I mean, I like. It's like
I
a
think
goal
here's
of
the
mine to
thing,
always
you
finish
could-
the
I think
beer,
you
no matter
could-
how much I hate it.
Yeah, I think you could do something with it. I think
Yes.
you could make like a shake out of it or something, or like
Sure.
what are they doing, like beer floats now? I
Yeah,
don't know.
sure, whatever.
Which is just like
Yeah, that's another. I'm not a fan.
it's too much.
Awkward.
But yeah, I think like that's the route people are trying to go, where it's like, oh, we're taking these Pittsburgh iconic
Right,
foods and putting
exactly.
them in beer, and it's like, but why?
No, but that's not really what makes a good beer, because you
Yeah.
should just make a good beer. You make a good beer.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of
It's too
Pittsburgh
gimmicky.
breweries make really good brown ales, and
Yeah.
that we should celebrate them more, I guess.
Yeah,
It
I agree.
shouldn't just be, oh, look, there's a brown ale. That's kind of nice. No, I think it should be, yes, brown ales. That's ours. You know.
And I think
let's take it.
I think people just screw around too much.
Yeah.
Like stop screwing around so much.
That's what that's another reason for my brown ale push is that it's not a screw around beer. It's just it's an old style but again, it's really good. Josh, what do you think? I mean, you're a beer drinker. You're a beer man.
Sure, I've had a beer or two.
You and me, we got
kidding,
beer man
I'm sorry.
physiques. We both got cords on like bosses.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Like
joking.
what?
Sorry,
What my
Josh.
preference?
No, I mean, what's your thoughts on brown ale? I'm curious what your thought.
I like it.
thoughts.
I think it's a nice change of pace.
beer?
I think for me the beer scene, when you shop for it, it's different when you go to a bar. But when you go to like a bottle shop,
Yeah.
it's like so tedious because it's like 300 6-packs of different IPAs scattered around.
Right.
And I think the IPA to me is a double-edged sword. It's like I'm never disappointed with it, but
Yeah.
I'm also very tired of it.
Right.
Right.
Same.
And
Yeah.
so like I like a nice amber, like
Yeah.
when you can get a good amber, like I want that change of pace, but when you fail on getting the change of pace, that you usually have a worse beer than a mediocre IPA.
Right.
So it's kind of like a laziness thing. Like if you're
That's a
at
good point.
if you're at a bar and you can be like, okay, well, you have 5 beers on tap. One's an amber. I'm going to give that a try. But if I'm searching through stray sixes or piecing together a 6-pack,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I'm not just going to grab at a random amber and hope that that's okay because
Yeah.
the
An
worst.
IPA is kind of it's more stable.
Yeah, and I also think it's
Right.
like
One's gonna be more hoppy.
yeah,
than the
it's like
other
a
one.
easy.
Yeah.
It's also kind of a cop out, right? Because I think I've never brewed a beer, but it seems like it's an easy thing to make at least okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you're never gonna have that IPA tastes like shit unless you just don't like IPAs.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what I
or you
think-
really screw it up.
And I think
somehow.
you're kind of pointing to just like, it is a little exhausting. I think beer culture is just exhausting.
Oh yeah, let's
And-
get into this a little
and
bit.
being
I think. Yeah.
and being snobby about beer,
Yes.
which used to be like
the
a
worst.
low class, working person.
Yeah, well, because it was just
drink.
it was cheap and it,
It
was all the
cheap.
same.
Yeah, and it was all the same.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird that people now, and I think this has happened with a lot of things. This isn't exclusive to beer because it was like for a while there, it was like, oh, let's take pedestrian foods and make them gourmet.
Yeah.
Let's take hot dogs and make them gourmet. Let's
Yeah.
take cupcakes and make them gourmet,
Yeah.
which is the worst
Yeah.
ever.
One of the biggest failings in Pittsburgh was all those cupcake
What
shops
was
that
the,
opened and they all closed.
Oh God, what was the big one that closed? They had the worst cupcakes
I think this was
ever.
before my time.
This was definitely before your
Yeah.
time, but I'm trying to remember. There was a particular cupcake shop that had a couple stores in Pittsburgh. Their cupcakes were the worst cupcakes. They were disgusting.
I was in New York for the height of cupcakery, where
Yeah.
people were like, "You got to go down here," and you know what? They were fine. It's fine.
It's a
They're
cupcake.
cupcakes.
Yeah, it's a
cupcake.
tasty cupcake.
It's what you make for your
But I'm-
child to
Right.
take to school
I'm not.
for
I'm
their
not
birthday.
taking 3 subways down to try this, like squishy,
I feel that-
sugary mess.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, and
I
it's
just
like they
don't
use
care.
margarine in the icing to get that perfect
Yeah.
swirl.
Oh,
and
look
it's
how
gross.
beautiful it looks. I don't care what
It's
it looks
gross.
like.
It's a
Oh,
cupcake.
there's green tea in this? Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But that's the thing. But I think that's
feel the same way about donuts too.
That's
They
what I
kind of
find
use that
odd
same
about.
thing.
Oh yeah, donuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
No.
God.
I love
don't even,
donuts,
Don't
just-
even get me started about gourmet donuts. dumbest thing ever.
Also, because
I hate
that
it so
defeats
much.
the purpose. Like a good donut is your working class, like nicely.
Give me a glazed ass donut.
Yeah,
It's
like,
$1. It's
yeah.
$1 tops.
A well,
that's how expensive
a
a donut should be.
well-made, basic chocolate-covered glazed whatever. I don't need it injected with.
I
there's-
don't need it covered in like
Donuts
kid
don't need to be
cereal
foo-foo
and
with like
bacon.
gold
to be good.
flake
Yeah.
on it.
I
You know?
hate it. I hate
Yes.
it because it's this thing where there's
Donuts are good because they're just this like,
They're-
man, I really want just like
I
a
want a
simple
treat.
treat breakfast
Yeah.
where you're just like coffee and a donut. It's a classic combination. It's good.
And that's
Like,
the thing about beer where it's like people don't want to admit that they like this very basic, very pedestrian, but yet very satisfying thing. So it's
Right.
like they have to elevate it
right.
to this level of, oh, I like this beer because it has hints of blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and because it's it's like
And you're getting like the beer flights where you go to the brewery and you try all the different
Right.
styles of beer. But there's a point now where it's like, okay, like we've we've definitely reached critical mass. And
Right.
by the way, this stout is going to taste really similar than the last brewery, stout you had at another brewery.
Yeah.
And this IPA is going to, and so, but like with that culture has come also too much of a, well, let's really experiment. Let's make a burnt almond torte beer. And it's like, no, just make a beer well.
Yeah.
Like just make a good beer. And there's certain kind of styles.
Right.
There's maybe like, I mean, really, in reality, there's like maybe like 6 that each brewery should have.
Right.
That if you want to have like if you want to have a porter versus a stout, or I mean, a lager or something, then fine. But make sure that all of them are good before you start being like, oh, I get hints of this and that one, and it's just like it's too much.
It's beer.
It's too much.
And it's strange because it's like now we have like beer publications and beer blogs, and we have like beer critics, and it's just like. You like this is so much part of your identity, and you want to be so judgmental, and so like I mean there's like a classist element to it where it's like, oh, that's what wine used to be, where it's like, oh,
which sucks, which everyone realizes that like wine snobs suck. Why are we like, oh, let's do that?
Let's be beer snobs. Let's be beer snobs. Yeah, and it's just so odd to me, and I think like what comes of that is a lot of people are excluded from that because it's like all the people who are opening craft breweries and all the people who are able to do this, it's usually white men.
Right.
And then you have, and that's where Fresh Press comes in.
Right.
And like, where you have like, okay, now we're getting black brewers to come in and be part of this. Right. And I think that's like, there's a lot of, as much as you want to say, well, it's just beer, like there's a lot of consequences that come with, oh, well, like, oh, you don't like IPAs, you don't like, like what's wrong with you? Like,
there should be no,
like, it's ridiculous.
Shaming over not liking an IPA or not liking it, and that's really where the beer snobbery is at its worst. Right, is that there's always like this shaming of, oh, you don't like this kind of beer, and it's like, no, it's fine. It's like we're just.
People can't just like things anymore.
Right,
that's what bothers me. It has to be like. You have to be a connoisseur. You have to be an expert. You have to know more about it than anyone else. Right. And it is annoying. Yeah. And nobody likes it.
No. And it gets to a point where, it just like excludes a lot of people and there's no reason for it.
Yeah, it excludes a lot of people. And also, you're just performing for other beer snobs. Right. Nobody gives a shit about your taste in beer except for other beer snobs who want to have arguments with you. Yeah. Like in the bar.
Right.
As you drink your beer and get really drunk, which is the only reason why people drink beer.
Yes, is to get drunk. Yes.
But anyway, thank you for indulging me.
Yes.
But no, and I think I think that's what's strange about Pittsburgh, because I think Pittsburgh, because of its, it's a Rust Belt city. It has like a very working class background. And to me, it's like, it's strange that we have like trying to force a snobby beer culture on Pittsburgh, I think is kind of, I don't know. I just think it's kind of strange.
Right. But it's not, I don't know if it's really happening though here.
I don't think it is.
It doesn't
as
seem
much.
like it's too snobby. I will say, I think and if brewers are listening to this, they might be mad, but whatever.
I don't care.
I think we've delved too deep into the hazy IPA. It's too much for me.
We're too deep, man.
There's it's
deep in the haze.
It's everywhere. And honestly, it kind of tastes like orange juice. And I think that's why people like it. And
you gotta put an orange slice on it.
It's like I get it. I get that like orange juice is delicious, and I get it, but there's a point where I'm just like, you guys, like we've gone overboard a little bit. Let's like crank it back a little bit, and then we can really appreciate the hazy IPA for what it is, like a really refreshing, strong beer. And I just think like, I don't know. This is just like a part of my issues with like consumer capitalism and how we just like overmarket everything all the time, and everything has to be like a trend before, and then everyone likes it, and then it's like then it becomes too much, and then we dial it back, and then it's just too much sometimes.
It is too much. And and I think there has been sort of a pushback now, because what was the one there was that one bar kind of close to Millvale that was specializing in, I think they specialize in sours.
Oh yeah, it was called Dry Log. It's now called Strange Roots.
And they switched to another kind of beer.
They started to do more than just sours, but honestly, they're not good at it. Sorry, guys.
But I've heard that. I cannot personally say I've not experienced it myself.
Their IPA is not good.
Well, I think part of it too is just like the experience of going somewhere and drinking a beer. Like you were talking about pubs. I don't think Pittsburgh has, and I could be totally wrong, like a very cool, just pub style bar.
I think you're totally wrong.
I'm probably totally
You're
wrong.
absolutely
please
wrong.
tell me I'm totally wrong, because I would love to go to
Pittsburgh
like
is probably one of the most underrated drinking towns in America.
but like an old like
what does that mean?
like a pub you would go to in like the UK. Like that kind of pub.
We have
like,
plenty of bars like that.
eh,
You go. What do you mean? What's
where?
Kelly's?
Okay.
What's Kelly's like?
Kelly's isn't like a Kelly's is like a kind of like diner style dive.
Oh, a place where you get beers and a little
I'm
bit of
talking
food and
about,
talk
like-
with your friends.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like
Well,
a
but just
pub
because it's not
style.
like wooden, just because it doesn't have like
Oh
a
my
wooden
God, Ryan.
countertop
Never
doesn't
mind.
mean.
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm just saying is that what like I think that so pub just means public house, right? And
Like a big sort of like public house, like you go and you just like, you know, sit in like a little corner booth and just kind of hang out.
that's what
all
people
day
do
long.
at Kelly's.
Nah, but Kelly's is different. I'm talking about like that
That's what
style.
people do at like Park House or the Modern. Or,
Yeah.
or,
Okay.
You know,
That's what I'm talking
Even
about.
like Tina's, I would consider that, even though they don't serve food anymore. Or really any bar. I mean, I think that I disagree with your
That's fine.
notion. 'cause
I
it's
I wanted you to tell me that I was wrong.
No,
because you're always good at that. That's what you're here for, buddy.
Pittsburgh, that's like honestly, there's probably too many good bars where you could just like go and chill and have a conversation and a little bit of food and drinks. That's like kind of like what Pittsburgh's
Right.
main entertainment is, honestly. And it's a little bit like it makes me drink probably more than I should because I really like that vibe.
But that's what I'm talking about.
I really like the vibe of Kelly's, so I go to a lot. I go to there a lot. And other places.
But I think that's a big part of. That's a big part of it where it's like it's not just the beer and making the beer whatever unique flavor, blah blah blah. It's like you have to provide an atmosphere that people actually want to go to and hang out and feel like and feel comfortable and feel like they can stay there for hours and drink. And I don't know that every single place I've been to, every single brewery, every single micropub or whatever, is successful at that.
Right.
Yeah. And
I don't think all of them are, but I think having gone to a lot of bars and just stayed there and drank for hours, I can say that I'm very comfortable.
Some of them are way too small. Like you go and like
but that's what I think is good.
You think it's good?
This is what I think is good is that it feels homey. It's not like these giant,
I don't want to wait in
massive-
line for.
You don't have to wait in line because there's so many of them. That's the whole idea. How many bars you got to wait in line for?
There's a few.
Well, okay, name them.
There's a few. What? I don't want to call people out.
I've been calling everyone out.
No, but there are a few bars that are like super popular, like breweries, where you go in and it's like it's insanely full. There's a ton of bros in here, and like I have to wait in line for like 30 minutes to get a beer.
Let's talk about our entourage turtleness.
Speaking of bros, when I said
this is
that,
actually like I think you're right. There are a lot of places like that, like Southern Tiers like that. It's just like always packed, full of bros. Grist House like that, which I think is actually like a lot of really good beers, but it's usually like super packed.
It's insane.
And we were talking about Entourage, the HBO show, which is just about like
Bro City,
bros being cool in Hollywood or whatever.
But in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Entourage would just be all turtle.
Right. And let's explain the dynamics of Entourage. There's the hot movie star.
Which I would say I disagree that Adrian Grenier was a hot movie star.
For the
sake of argument,
it's supposed to be like the hot movie star, Vince, and then there's like his like best friend bulldog kind of manager, Eric. And then there's his older stepbrother, Johnny Drama, who's just like the crazy character. Yeah. And then there's just like that short, backwards hat wearing, like best friend who's always there for him, Turtle. Yeah. And we've determined that Pittsburgh is overrun by turtles, basically.
Yeah. Turtle. It's all turtle.
It's all. And I know turtle's great, so we don't. Yeah, I'm not trying to. Not trying to. But it's funny.
I just remember. I can't remember where I was. I don't know if I was in the South Side or like Lawrenceville, but I remember I just saw a whole group of bros, and I looked at them and I was just like,
"Oh, New Amsterdam."
It's like everyone a turtle, every single one of them.
Walters, that place.
Oh God! Can we talk about Walters? Just for a second, speaking of like providing a certain atmosphere. So we were talking about Walters, which is this barbecue place in Lawrenceville, which is literally just like a microcosm of just like college bros,
Right.
and it's awful. And we were talking about it yesterday, and somebody was saying like, "Oh yeah, my friend ate there and immediately just projectile vomited." That place, I would not come within like
Yeah, I
like
always
10 feet of that
I always
place.
walk by there and I'm like, oh, maybe I should check it out. And I'm
No.
like, nah, I'm fine.
No.
But see, this is what I think is good about Pittsburgh is that there are a growing amount of turtle bars or whatever.
Turtle bars.
You know. But there's always enough other options that
No, there
like,
are,
you know,
for sure.
that
Yeah.
like it's a very diverse scene. I think it's good. So you got your bro bars, that's fine, whatever. Cool.
Yeah.
But you also
to
got
Industry.
you also got yes, oh my gosh.
Not hating on Industry. They
No,
have
which
some great
also really
qualities.
good. Great stuff.
They
It's
just you can't help who you attract.
right, because it's a little loud in there. It's really
It does get a little
actually.
loud,
But yeah, and talking about drink scene. What else we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about anything else?
I don't know. What did we write about this week? Anything else?
Yeah,
fun?
I guess we should get into news. I wrote about speaking of Lawrenceville.
Speaking of Lawrenceville,
wrote about
what a transition!
displacement in Lawrenceville, and this guy Anthony Hardison, his landlord wants to renovate his unit, and that means that he's basically kind of left out in the cold. He's a Section 8 tenant. Section 8 is a housing voucher that helps low-income people find housing, and because they want to renovate his place, and like that's kind of the goal of like the housing market in Lawrenceville is to renovate everything because it's a very hot market, and people, you know, landlords and real estate companies can make a lot of money there by renovating and flipping properties, and it's a really interesting thing because Lawrenceville has really gone through this. Well, I mean, it's gone through gentrification like a lot, and but
100%.
it's been stories like this that are a little bit less like huge. They're not like 300 people are getting evicted. It's more like one at a time, and it's been hard to kind of track because it's hard to find that one tenant at a time then like try to make it into a broader story. But it's going gangbusters there in terms of house flipping.
Well, I mean, even I remember I did an interview with Girls Running Shit, and they were three women who, I mean, grew up here, like grew up in Pittsburgh, so they know more than me, like what it was like. Because I moved, like I said, I moved here in the early 2000s, and like I even remember Lawrenceville being like, oh, you're going to Lawrenceville, you know, like back when I would go to like 80s night at Belvedere's, like there wasn't that much stuff,
right? And
even since then, that was probably like, I want to say like 2005, 2006. Even since then, it's gotten crazy. But when I was talking to Girls Running Shit, they were like, oh, you didn't go to Lawrenceville.
Right.
Like, you absolutely did not go. So it's crazy to think how quickly and how just...
Yeah.
Because, like, you think about, like, Lawrenceville Corp and, like, you know, these neighborhood organizations that are basically...
United.
As much as, you know, not to hate on the South Side, but they don't want it to turn into the South Side. They don't want it to turn into...
It's already gone. It's there.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
So it's tough to control it.
Yeah, that's the thing is that like there were efforts to change it to like make it more of a destination where you could go to a restaurant, where you could go to a shop, where you could go to a bar, but that it almost like caught fire too hot. You know? Not like a brown dwarf.
It blew up
like a white a white giant or whatever they're called, or it doesn't matter.
I don't we're not gonna get into astrophysics in here.
White's the hottest. Yeah.
Especially in Lawrenceville.
Oh, hey-oh. So, right? Josh over there not into the park, guys.
It's true.
He's done. He's distracted today.
Josh is checked out.
He's got a little smirk on his face. It's pretty funny.
The failure of the app really took the wind out of his sails.
I've retired all of my sound effects for today.
Look, man,
they were embarrassing.
Yeah.
Look, next week
I'm embarrassed.
We're gonna get it. You're gonna get a real app with a beautiful
combination
of sounds.
Right. And so it's gotten to a point where everything's flipping over, and it was funny because I think I tweeted this out yesterday, and there's this, so the home flipping story is now caught so much fire that like there's been studies on it and everything like that, and now like a lot of people are starting to write about it. And yesterday it's like, because we wrote this story about kind of the consequences of home flipping. What happens to low income residents that are like, a landlord goes, oh, well, I was renting to you for like 10 years, but now someone wants to buy my house for a lot of money, so I'm going to sell it. They're going to flip it. They're going to make money. I'm going to make money.
Yeah.
But the low income tenant is the one, oh, well, what happens to me?
Exactly.
And it's like, bye.
Yeah.
Sorry, move to Verona or something. And and so there's a lot of social consequences that come with that. But it's so funny because like TV news, I don't understand why they do this. They're basically like, isn't home flipping cool? You can make a lot of money off of it. And it's just like, why are you shilling for like a home flippers? It doesn't make any sense why these news organizations don't think about the broader story. That's what our job is. It's not to just be like, hey, we're like little mini HGTV, you know? Like we don't need to
But it's cool, property bros, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
It's just crazy that like we're at that point. And I think it also makes stories like this even harder because a lot of people are going to say, oh, look, I can flip a property in Lawrenceville and make money and I don't think about anything else. And it's like, why? That's not a journalist shouldn't be doing that. That's not our job. Right. Our job is to tell
I think
really informed stories.
Like we've even gotten emails from media companies saying, "Oh, you should cover this famous home flipper coming to Pittsburgh and flipping this Pittsburgh home." And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Why would
they
we
don't
do
need
that?
our help. They don't need our help. They're doing great. Pittsburgh has some of the highest return on investment for home flipping in the country.
Also, you don't want us to cover it because
because I'm gonna like rip you apart. You know, I'm gonna ask you all these tough questions on like, don't you think about these like other
who it's
issues?
disenfranchising? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like it affects these lower income tenants.
Right.
And it even keeps going up the scale because it's going to be like New York City where it's like, okay, it's affecting these lower income tenants where it's like these people who are like, oh, well, I make enough money where it's not going to affect me. I'm more middle class or whatever. But it's like, eventually you are also going to be targeted. So if you don't care about these people, like you have like, and if that's something that you just can't even empathize with, like, at least think about how this will affect you in the future and how you will also be priced out.
Yeah, and it also makes the city government's job harder because their city government is, I mean, all government should be invested in, making the lives of all of its residents easier, and that includes low-income people, and that doesn't make low-income people that makes their lives harder. They're constantly moving around. They're constantly you move out to a place where there's worse public transit, where there's worse amenities. Your life is just generally worse, but that's all you can afford because a hot housing market says, well, this is only for rich people now.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And that's where when other local journalists tell a story about home flipping and they only tell it from like, look at these great profit margins, then you're not doing a balanced job. And I'm not saying that like you can't tell that story, but it requires the city paper and other people to be like, here's the consequences of that. But also city paper doesn't have as big as a microphone as like TV news does. So I wish TV news was a little bit more responsible always, but they're not.
Yeah, I think everybody would. Is your teen a home flipper? At 11.
They should do home flipping mugshots of people who flip the homes. They should be like, this person just flipped this home in Lawrenceville, you know? You're like, whoop, 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 you know, like.
The graphic comes up.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Great.
But no, yeah. I mean, because it's like, even for me, I bought my house right before. I mean, prices went up.
Right.
Like, it was one of those things where it's like, I have to hurry up and buy a house.
Which,
and,
like,
like,
can
that's
be a good
not
thing.
healthy
Which can
either.
be a good thing. Well, it can be a good thing that, like, you want a housing market to be healthy. You don't want it to be declining.
You want a housing market to be healthy, but you also don't want it to be where people are just making decisions based on, like, oh, no, I'm not going to afford this house in a year.
Right.
So, and that's, like, and then that ends up being, like, people buying homes where they're like, I kind of regret doing this.
Right.
Or, like, I think there's just, like, so many different, I mean, this, of course, forcing out lower income tenants being the absolute most, the biggest priority and the biggest consequence. But then like down the line, it's like, here are these other things that are happening where, So, I mean, there's a lot of different things you could talk about in regards to it. So, but yeah.
Cool.
All right. What do we?
Wait, we got to talk about our cocktail shake-off. We're talking about drinks,
no.
right? Yeah. Right.
Wow. We just.
Well, let's get back to drinks.
We probably should have talked about this earlier before we veered into like a more serious issue. We can't
back to, hey, you like drinking?
Oh, well. What are you going to do? This is our show. We do what we want.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're doing a cocktail shake-off.
Put it up.
There's a very, very tiny little.
Do we have an ad in there? Bigger ad in there? I'll look through.
There's
it
a
while you
bigger
talk
ad,
about
but
it.
yeah. So
Okay.
right now you can get 50% off tickets, but it's gonna be like a big fun event.
Super
and there's
fun.
But the other thing too is like there's gonna be, regular alcoholic cocktails. We're also doing sober cocktails.
Sober cocktails.
We're also doing sober
Mocktails,
cocktails.
as they're
Mocktails. So there will be that. Like, so anybody can participate.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a boo who can't drink or a friend,
Right.
absolutely, you can bring
Yeah.
them and they'll have a great time.
And
Where is this ad?
that's what I'm trying to find it. I can't. Maybe we don't have one.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna look it
Yeah,
up
pull
online.
it up.
But yeah, but it'll be a really cool event.
Fun event where you got like different. Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go. Cocktail
Okay.
shake off.
All right. Here it is.
See, we
Ooh.
don't want to take up a whole page with our own ads.
White waffle Washington. Sidecars, Cosmos.
Can I tell you, I spent a
Yeah.
whole half a day coming up with cocktail puns for this, and I don't think they used any of mine. Wait, let me see if they did.
Wait, we got to tell the date. So it's Thursday, February 27th.
It's February 27th at the Energy Innovation Center,
Right. Big event.
1435 Bedford Avenue.
Yep.
Starts at 7 p.m. So it's a whole night of enjoying
Yeah.
some delicious
you buy
beverages.
Tickets now, it's 50% off.
It's 50% off now if you buy tickets.
Yes, and so it's going to be a bunch of different bartenders going to be competing. It's going to be like.
Yeah. It's going to be super cool.
And we have really good bartenders in Pittsburgh too. I was talking about our drinking
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
There's a lot of really talented bartenders. This is where they all kind of be together, so you can really.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you want to get tickets or if you want to learn more, you can go to pghshakeoff.com. But yeah, so the 50% off, that's for a limited time. So
Get it.
get in there.
Get
Early bird tickets.
Get it.
It's
And
through,
then ask for a brown ale when you show up. Be like, I only drink brown ale now. They were like, get out of here. That's going to be me just being like, oh, here's my cocktail, brown ale.
they're going to be like, sir, that's not a cocktail. please leave the premises. You are drunk.
Going to be me at my brown ale booth just sitting there
It's
all
like-
by myself, sipping my little beer alone.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be alone. All right. But the early bird tickets are only available until January 20th. So hurry.
Couple days, few days.
Hurry.
Yeah.
Get them. But yeah, and then they'll have regularly priced tickets after that.
Right,
So,
right. But
all right.
anyway.
All right. We did our duty.
Yes.
We promoted.
Yes.
We
We're
promoted the
so
shake
good.
off.
We're so good at promoting.
We're so good.
Just so fucking
I think
good.
we promoted Brown Ale more than we promoted our own event. All right.
Drink these random brown ales. Don't come to our event.
Oh, shake off? Oh yeah, that's right. Come to the shake off. It's fine. All right. I think we
Yeah, I
did
think that's
everything
about
we
it.
had
Yeah,
to do today.
yeah, we did it.
All right, Josh, you want to send us out?
Is there a send-off song? Do we have one? We never have one. Oh, no. Jeremiah was a both wrong. Was a good friend of mine.
All right.
that's
Join
it.
us next Friday for another edition of CP Live.
Edition.
Edition.
CP Live. Bye.